evening, APL Nation. Ruth Main here from somewhere. As you can see, I'm in a hotel. We're actually traveling. It's great to be here tonight. I am just so honored again to be able to host one of my favorite people in the whole world. And we're going to talk about one of the favorite products of a lot of people tonight, and that's ice, I-C-E. Ice is known for its wonderful properties on digestion. And I want to delve right in, Mary Esther, on first talking about what steps does the body take when it is digesting food, and how does that either work good or not work good?
Good evening, everybody. So that's a good question. Yeah, I like diving right into these things. So the body has to do a lot of things, right, to bring those nutrients out of those foods down to the microcell level so that the cells can do their energy work and repair work and all that kind of thing, right? We've already talked about all of that. But basically, you just want to stay hydrated. You want to chew your food thoroughly. You want to avoid shoving large bulks of food into your mouth. You have to avoid eating hurriedly and swallowing before thoroughly chewing. That takes patience, but if you're in a hurry, then chew fast. But balance the raw, fresh, enzyme-active foods in your like leafy greens and raw vegetables, nuts and seeds, that kind of thing, to get those nutrients small enough so that they will fit inside the cell membranes in the intestines and on into the bloodstream and distributed to where they're needed, right? So you want to avoid overeating and distending the stomach, and you want to stop eating when you feel satisfied and before you feel full. So those are the things you have to do to avoid the digestive issues, right? And just be aware of what's happening as the food material moves through the digestive tract.
One question that just popped into my head is we always hear, and I know my mother used to say this, chew your food at least 20 times, or 30 times before you swallow it. And I don't know that most of us chew our food enough. Is that a big deal? Because I know digestion actually starts right in the mouth.
Yes, the digestive enzymes in the mouth start the whole digestive process. Otherwise, the stomach's going to have a problem with a lot of the bulk and mass. So once you reduce food to what's called the bolus in your mouth, you don't have to sit there and chew and chew and chew. That gets disgusting, and then it's no fun to enjoy your food, right? So just so that it's small enough so that it goes down the esophagus and it goes into the stomach, and then the digestive process continues on and on and on until it reaches the small intestines. And that's where, by that time, the food has become reduced to the basic nutrients that fit through the cell membranes in the intestinal villi.
And might I say, you're looking beautiful tonight. I just wanted to add that in there. Let's just jump from, now that we know that digestion is important, also, how important is the alkaline acid balance in the body, and what is the proper balance in the body? I don't think a lot of people are aware of that.
Yeah, okay, so if you take in a lot of meats and animal-derived products without the plant kingdom, then you're going to have a net acidity effect. And that causes a whole cascade of inflammatory reactions in the body. So you want to balance that with the plant kingdom. Half the food on your plate should be raw, salads, vegetables, things like that. It's okay to cook them in a soup or stew, which are comfort foods in the wintertime especially, but you're going to be ruining the enzymes, the light energy frequencies that provide the energy in the cells. So you're going to destroy half or more than half of its nourishing, regenerative, healing value of the food. So the balance of pH in the body, if you're eating a balanced diet all the time, should be somewhere between 7 and 7.5. And that should indicate that you're taking in the right balance of nutrients. If your pH gets lower than 7, then you're taking in, or you're not taking in enough of the alkaline balancing foods. But if your pH is higher than 7, then you really, and this is a problem that a lot of vegetarians have because they're eating a lot of plant foods, but they're not, they're leaning more toward the alkaline side. And what happens when the body is in an alkaline state You've got, so if you're too high in alkaline, then it causes excess carbon dioxide in the lungs, and it leads to hyperventilation and a decreased rate of breathing. So people who are too alkaline, sometimes they have trouble catching their breath, and so they have all these respiratory issues. But if you're too acidic, then you're going to have an accelerated heartbeat, tachycardia, confusion or dizziness is one of the side effects, high fatigue, loss of appetite, headache, rapid breathing, long, deep breathing problems, nausea, vomiting, and weakness. Of course, those are extremes. But anyone who is even a little bit too acidic over time will have a lot of inflammatory pain issues.
So I want to reiterate that a little bit because inflammation seems to be prevalent in everybody these days. And I know some of that comes from the foods we eat because of all of the chemicals that are sprayed on them. But if I'm hearing you correctly, having a balanced diet is really one of the most important things you could do in your body or for your body to keep that alkaline acid balance where it's supposed to be.
Yes, and once it's balanced that way, then you're not going to encourage a lot of the aerobic bacterium, which causes the illness. And as they degrade and are broken down in the colon, then they release a lot of toxins that gets into the bloodstream. So you've got a lot of toxicity going on. So yeah, it's important to make sure that you are maintaining your gut health. And of course, I'm sure by now, a lot of doctors out there, nutritionists out there are always talking about maintaining your gut health. But it also means to populate the gut with the aerobic or beneficial bacteria to counterbalance all of that. And of course, the immune system has a lot of roles to play as far as keeping the bad bacteria populations down.
Where would you start in explaining where in the entire digestive system do most digestive disorders come from or start or get going?
Yeah, very good question. So of course you have to eat the raw plant foods, drops that are the drops which are viable, right? They've got the enzymes, they've got the phytonutrient compounds that are active, and of course those are going to contribute. You've got the DNA to correct any malfunctions at our DNA level. So we've got all that going on with the APLGO drops. But actually, it starts in the mouth. Of course, you've got to just not swallow whole food. You've got to start digestion there. But most of the problems occur with the kinds of food people eat, because in the stomach, you've got certain digestive enzymes, the hydrochloric acid, and the pancreas has digestive enzymes. The liver has different enzymes as well. So all that contributes to breaking down the foods properly. But if it's overwhelmed, or if the molecules of the food are distorted, like eating fried foods, heated oils are always the culprit of so many health issues, inflammatory problems, and hormonal disorders, all kinds of problems. So as long as you are balancing and eating raw food enzymes, which help digest the very foods that they are. Okay, so if you're taking, say, a pineapple, instead of having it canned or frozen, and if you instead eat the raw pineapple, you're going to have those wonderful enzymes to help break down the animal-derived proteins in the stomach. So it all works hand in hand. And raw enzymes in the diet also help your body produce more hydrochloric acid and all those other digestive enzymes to further, aid in the digestive process. So, and of course, all of the phytonutrients you're taking in from all these foods and this wonderful drops, they're always destroying the illness-causing anaerobic microorganisms. And bacteria, the viruses, and the parasites too. A lot of foods contain microparasites, and the fungi that can start, running rampant and spreading in the body as well, and it overwhelms the immune system. So the digestive process occurs depending on what you eat, and making sure you're chewing your foods properly, and you're having enough enzyme active, light energy frequency active foods, and all of that will help the stomach further break things down, so that by the time it goes into the upper intestine, then the upper intestine is very acidic too, and it secretes its own kinds of acids to further break things down. So luckily we have the mucosal membranes that line the stomach that protect the stomach from being, perforated and damaged in the tissues.
that interesting. So given that, explain to myself and to everybody listening tonight live and maybe in the future, where exactly in the body are our nutrients absorbed and how does it then get them to where our body needs them?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm going to show you what I've got. I've got a great photograph of that. So let me go ahead and share screen here. Okay, so here's a picture of the mouth, right? We've got the salivary glands and the parotid glands that produce the salivary glands and the ducts and everything that's secreted into the mouth. But it's all automated, autonomic. It's automatically happening as you put food in your mouth, so your body knows exactly what to do. But once it gets down to the stomach, here's the stomach here, right? And it goes down into the tubes and it starts going into the gastrointestinal tract. And here's a blow up of the small intestine. So the way we absorb nutrients in the small intestine is very, very important. By the time it gets to the small intestine, it has to be able to be absorbed through these little microvilli. And they're little projections. So they're little hair-like projections. So if I were to point to, let me enlarge it a little more here. I don't know if you can see these little projections here, all the way around here. So that's the larger projections. They get smaller and smaller and smaller. So here's a blow up of one of these things that are protruding inside the small intestine. So you've got the villi that's absorbing nutrients into the bloodstream, going in through, into all the tissues. And if you were to blow up a section of this right here, that little square, then you've got this very, very intricate. It gets more and more intricate the smaller you get, right? So this is what's happening here. You've got even more microvilli, even smaller, that are further taking in the nutrients that will fit through there. And if you see this little square here, will blow up to see at the cell level. We're finally getting to the cell level. And these micronutrients, by the time they get there, they're just really small. Then they go in through these villi and finally into the cell where all the work, where your health is determined. So the DNA is where it's at. This is where every single cell is provided the instructions to do all the repair work and detoxification, repurposing of molecules, building new tissues. All of that takes place in there in every single type of cell in the body.
So it sounds like our DNA plant drops get to the epithelial cell level a lot faster than having to go through that whole process like food does.
Yes.
Would that be spot on?
Yes, exactly. So when food goes through the digestive tract, it'll eventually hit the bloodstream, after going through the mouth and the stomach and the small intestines, and all the while they're being absorbed through the microvilli here and finally into the cell. Whereas when we take in the drops, we are dissolving them here. And so we've got these mucosal membranes right here. It goes directly into the bloodstream.
It just amazes me every time we talk about it. So now that we've kind of given everybody a little bit of a background of how our digestive system works, what are the different types of digestive upsets or conditions that ice, the product we're talking about tonight, can help?
Great question. I just created this wonderful little chart for everyone. I couldn't wait to share it. So let me go ahead and go down to it. All right, so here's the different types of conditions that people have about their digestive system, right? And these are basically warning signs. All these malfunctions are going on at the microcell level that we just looked at. And so due to all these nutritional imbalances and deficiencies, right, or incorrect molecular structures, I call them distorted molecules. But you'll see that people have constipation problems, cramping, diarrhea, pain, flatulence, sluggish motility, takes forever to get food out the door. And in the meantime, it's collecting all these terrible, illness-causing bacteria and fungi and all these illness-causing microorganisms that feed on the putrefaction or putrefaction of food that doesn't move fast enough through the digestive tract. You don't want things to move too fast, but you don't want them to be slow and sluggish either, because the longer things stay in the stomach undigested, the more likely we're going to have more of those microorganisms that cause a lot of problems. Damaged tissues also ruptures, inflammation, ulcers, or maybe just injuries, high acidity conditions that I talked about earlier. So these are, I just thought I would just present the ingredients in this format this time so that everyone can see what each one of these ingredients do for the body and how they can address all these different systems. Now, of course, this is going to be on my website, holisticchoices.com/APL, so everyone usually gets the PDF from there. If you're on the cell phones, though, I just switched to a new platform, and I've had to redo everything for cell phones. Everything on the website is fine if you're looking at it from a PC, but if you're looking at it from a cell phone, you may not see a lot of the documents that I posted there. So I'm working on that. I'll be having that taken care of shortly. But if you want to download the PDF, then please check it out from your PCs.
This is fantastic, Mary Esther. This is just, can we stop? Can we just talk about one of these for my constipation?
Sure.
How important is dehydration with losing weight, constipation, moving things along in the gut? We hear people say all the time, you need to drink more, you need to drink more, and a lot of people just don't drink enough water. Can you kind of address how, as some of us are now drinking water on camera, Dixie? That was great.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, how important, cheers everybody, how important, not coffee, not tea, not pop, not juice, but how important is water in really helping our bodies get rid of the contaminants and not have the digestive issues?
Okay, great question. I love it. That wasn't even on our list. I love it. Okay, so when you drink water, that's the only substance that doesn't have any solutes other than the minerals that's naturally present in the water, which is just fine. Your body deals with those just fine. If you're drinking in the purified spring water, then it's going to be the most hydrating. Any other type of water, tap water, distilled water, all that stuff will not hydrate you. It will clog up your kidneys and cause a lot of toxicity problems, or pull nutrients out of the bones. It'll do all kinds of terrible things, right? So you want purified spring water. So if you're constipated and you drink more water, then you're softening the stools that are inside the colon that can't move out because they're too big and too hard. And the peristalsia action that's in the colon cannot push it out. Okay, so drinking plenty of water, eating plenty of fiber. Boy, that fiber, when you chew that up properly, it goes right through and it cleans house. It sweeps it all along, pushes it right out. You have no choice. Okay, sorry to get so graphic, but I can get pretty clinical about stuff. But so if you're taking insoluble fiber, the fiber that actually absorbs water in the colon and helps soften the stools, then of course that's the beans and the root vegetables. Those are, and some fruits like apples and pears, those contain the pectin. Those are all insoluble fibers. So taking in those foods are just as important as drinking the right water. So drinking water all through the day, you don't have to just drown yourself in water, but always keep a glass of water handy or a bottle of water handy and sip it throughout the day. When you feel really thirsty, just guzzle it down. It'll be a natural thing. You can't force yourself to guzzle down water if your body doesn't need it. But when you're really thirsty, have you ever noticed how you can just guzzle a whole bottle down practically, or a whole glass of water? Sometimes you can't. So you can tell to varying degrees how dehydrated you are. So yeah, just to avoid constipation, you've got to have the both types of good dietary fiber, and to drink plenty of water. Now for juices are not pure water. They contain pure water in them, but they also have other ingredients in them, the phytonutrients, or if they're not organic, they're going to have pesticide residues, things like that. So the kidneys have to filter out all of those toxins in order to have the pure water end up in the colon. Okay, so you're going to be urinating out the solutes in through the urine, and they have to go through the microcirculatory processes or pathways in the kidneys as well. I guess I should have pulled up a picture of a kidney, but it's just as intricate, even more intricate, because there's so many different, it's like a filtration system that it has to go through. So you want to drink a lot of water to flush out the kidneys as well as keep your stool soft when you're constipated. You can avoid it altogether and never have this problem at all.
Exactly. So now let's get into some depth on our wonderful botanicals, because every single one of them have an array of different nutrients that we know address a plethora of different needs, not only in our systems, but for our body as a whole. But I want to get more specific on the spillover effect that our lozenges have working in conjunction with each other. So tonight we're talking about ice, and we all know that ice is for sour stomach, heartburn, acid reflux, constipation, that kind of stuff. What other drops work in conjunction with that and will help people alleviate those symptoms or make ice work even better?
All right. Well, you mentioned the MLS, and I went through every single one of the ingredients in the MLS formulation. And as it applies to digestion, so there are almost just about every single botanical in the MLS helps contribute to proper digestion. So here's the common benefits that I pulled out, which is promoting the proper digestion for all the reasons we've already discussed, and for destroying a lot of the bad bacteria and allowing the good bacteria to thrive. So all those phytonutrient compounds will help to promote that. And then, of course, it's always the antiviral, antibacterial, antiparasitic, antifungal set of phytochemicals that are so effective, that work on their own. It doesn't even have to engage the immune system half the time, because they automatically just go through and flushes all the bacteria out and destroys their ability to thrive, to replicate, or to, and if they're expelling any toxins, then it'll neutralize those toxins. And then also protecting the tissue linings of the digestive tract. And that's very important as well, to maintain all those tissues, all those, those projections, those little microvilli. Anti-inflammatory compounds, soothing and inflaming, healing the inflamed tissues, and also aiding the immune system. Goes right into the DNA of all of our immune cells and helps repair any kind of malfunction that might happen with the immune's ability to recognize any of these illness-causing, substances. Improving and protecting the functions of the digestive system, like the accessory organs, like the gallbladder, the liver, which aids in fat digestion, and the pancreas, that has a lot to do with the glucose metabolism. So all of these different wonderful chemicals that are in all these different botanicals in the MLS actually boost the ice's functioning, neutralizing system damaging or toxic free radicals. I already said that. And also, a lot of these plants contain the protein digesting enzyme, so that it keeps your pH from becoming too acidic.
I had no idea. As you know, I studied the botanicals and the ingredients in them a lot. I like to think that I'm pretty knowledgeable about what our drops can do. However, reading what you just put there about improving and protecting the functions of the digestive system accessory organs like the gallbladder, the liver, etc., the pancreas, I had no clue. And we all know that there are a lot of people that say you can live without your gallbladder and they have it removed, but then we see that they get a lot of health problems afterwards. So it sounds like ice and MLS are actually not for use only when you're in a chronic state or a flare-up, but also can help long-term protect yourself and your organs from damage from everyday problems that we suffer from.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's these thousands of phytochemical compounds that act in synergy to help all of these processes. And all of that is going on inside our body. All we have to do is feed it right. All we have to do is provide the full range of nourishment, and your body will go to work and start fixing things. It'll take time sometimes, depending on how long a person has been unhealthy, how long their health has been deteriorating. But it's always going to begin the repair process and go back toward optimal health vibrancy, always.
Now, in reading that, is ice maybe taken with MLS and Hepper? Does that act as a cleansing agent by the mere fact that it's interacting with MLS and or Hepper? Is it going to help detox somebody out a little bit?
All the time. Yes, absolutely. Because there's so many different compounds. If you've seen if you didn't go to Texas and saw me go over all of the ingredients and all the botanicals, and I listed all of the phytochemicals that are in these botanicals. I also did a Zoom call when I got back home, and now there's a slideshow. I just went over the whole thing again in a little bit more detail. We had a little more time to do that in. So if you have time, go to my website and take a look at that video, unless you've already shared it, Ruth, or anyone else has shared it. I know there's a lot of hits on it. It keeps growing, so people are watching it. But yeah, I mean, there are so many wonderful.
I said, we love you.
Well, I love this and I love you. I mean, I love humanity. We've got to get healthy, you guys. We've got to get healthy. It will be a stronger humanity for it, you know. So many reasons to be a stronger humanity, right?
So one more question that came to mind is, now that we've talked about ice and MLS, how do they improve digestive health together, but also in other areas of your health? Can they help compound a healthier body overall in other areas?
Absolutely. Because these are pretty pan-systemic, they don't act directly on any particular body system because these compounds are so versatile. They're just vastly complex molecules, and your body will break them apart or use them whole, and it just completely recognizes everything that it needs, exactly what it needs to fix itself and to correct any malfunction. To detoxify, these things will bind to synthetic chemicals. And sometimes I have to say, I don't know if I should say this, but this is what I found, you know, with my clients over the years, that when they're completely nourished, their body chooses the food molecules over anything else, any other substance in the body. And that's what I'll leave it as, if you know what I mean.
I do, and I'm sure everybody on the call does.
Yeah.
Now, another question that came to mind is, I know that sometimes, and I know some people on the call do the same thing, is we will take ice just because the minty flavor of it goes well with any other drop that you put in your mouth. So a lot of us are kind of taking them antidotally because of the taste. And I guess that's not a bad thing. But is there anything wrong with doing that? Can it harm anybody? And is ice and all of our products, are they safe for men, women, children, and animals?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So peppermint that's in the ice is the essential oil for soothing the stomach and aiding in digestion. And so this is why you can pair that with any other drop, and it's going to improve the absorbability, if that can be imagined. So peppermint is just, it's got its own set of compounds in it, and they are known for destroying microorganisms. So even if you took peppermint in a drop all by itself, you know, you would have something that's very, very beneficial for correcting anything in the digestive tract. So it's stellar in that formulation. You know, the chart that you're looking at here is just what the other compounds or the same compounds will do for the other body systems. In case you're wondering what this is.
Now, I said I love all your charts, but I do love this one too. Another question just came to mind. We have a lot of people that have small children, and they're always asking, what is the best way for little children to get maybe ice or MLS into them when they've got colic or an upset tummy, or, you know, whatever the case may be in their digestive system. And, you know, a lot of us tell them, rub it on their gums, dilute it in some water and give it to them. Can you discuss that a little bit? Because the question that comes up is, okay, well, then it goes through the stomach. Is it really going to help them? Can you address that?
Well, remember, it's not going through the stomach, it's going through the bloodstream. And so, you know, I was just talking about peppermint essential oil by itself. But for the drops, they're going to go through the whole entire circulatory system, and that includes the circulatory system that's in the digestive tract as well. It's not isolated. Our digestive tract has blood vessels as well. So it's going to be distributed throughout the whole entire body. And if you're concerned about a young child taking a drop, it's not like it's a milligram megadose. You know, it's just these micro components of any plant that you might have the child eat. When the child eats a plant, it's going to be reduced to that level, to that micro level that will fit through the cell membrane. And you see how small that really is. I mean, it can fit in a pin drop. A cell is smaller than if you were to poke your finger with a pin, you know, the end of a sewing pin, you know, or a I forget what those things are called. I haven't used them in years, but safety pin. Okay, you know how sharp those are, right? The pinpoints are very sharp. So cells are many times smaller than that. So babies have cells too, and so their cells aren't that much larger than ours. We have multiple trillions of them, and babies are still developing and growing and creating more and more cells as they grow. But this is not going to disturb their digestive tract. It's not going to cause any allergic reactions because there's no fiber in there. You know, sometimes babies react to the fiber if they aren't chewing their foods properly, or if the digestive enzymes aren't developed enough for certain foods, you're going to have problems, right? So yeah, it's depending on the child's age. So I would say any person under 2 years old, just go ahead and dissolve them and give them a little at a time. You know, as they get older, then just try one. It's not a drug. It's not going to act in any inflammatory way. It's not going to create any kind of reaction like that. These are real nutrients that the body needs, especially for their growth and development.
Can you ping on that a little bit more about the living energy in these? I know we have to tread a little bit carefully there. However, I know we talked about this on one other call, and I think it's very important that people understand that we do get the live plant energy in these lozenges because they're not cooked to death.
Right. Yeah, anything over 120 degrees will destroy the active enzymes in a food. And so 120 is not even boiling. Boiling point is 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So the enzymes are very, very fragile. And the light energy frequencies that are vibrating at high speeds will also be reduced by heat as well. So, you know, you have to have the live energy active foods. And that's what stimulates all of these biochemical processes. Without them, then the body will come to a standstill. You know, we need the enzymes without that life-giving, light energy frequency energy. If those are gone, then the body is forced to use its own living tissues to try to create what it needs to digest food. And so that's going to waste away a lot of the valuable tissues in the body. It doesn't have to be muscle tissues, although those are the first things to go. But over time, the body starts deteriorating in other ways. So it's important to make sure that you're taking in all those raw food enzymes, the energy active frequencies from those raw foods and the drops. Can't say that about any other supplement out there.
That is one of the unique things about why we stand out and stand heads and shoulders about against everything else on the market, as far as I'm concerned, that and the purity of our product. And every time we get on these calls, I learn something new. My jaw is always dropping with the information that you give us. Can you take a few minutes and talk about some of the other lozenges that ice may work well with? Like, I know beauty has a lot of ingredients in it that help with detoxification. Does ice help promote that when taken with other botanicals, or is there anything special that you'd like to share with us about what ice can do, especially by itself or even with some of our other lozenges?
Wow. Like I said, all of those different compounds and different combinations and the subclasses too. I mean, I always list the main classes of all of these compounds, but there are literally 25,000 known phytonutrient compounds in the plant kingdom. And so our drops contain a lot of them. You know, if you were to in the book, sorry, I keep referring to the book, but in there is a whole database of the classifications of these compounds that are in these botanicals and the subclassifications in them. So understanding what these phytonutrient compounds do in the body is really the key. So if you were to combine the PFT, I mean, some of these nutrients actually help the body burn the fat in the body, right? So it's not just in the PFT, although they're concentrated botanicals known to reduce the body fat, right? So, but as far as any other drop, you're going to come across a whole array of different compounds that address every single body system. And that DNA is being read by our own DNA very quickly and very rapidly because it'll immediately go to work and do the work that's needed to correct any malfunction at the cell level in any body system.
Again, I'm amazed, and I want to give you a chance, Mary Esther, to talk about the book. I think what I would like to do, and I'm going to push for this, is that we have a Zoom with you and explain how to use the book. I know there's a lot of new people on here that the new book is a little bit more difficult to finagle through, but tell people how we can get the book and a little bit, about how to use it. And we'll just say, thank you so much again for another wonderful, wonderful call.
All right. All right. I mean, I could talk forever, so just tell me to be quiet when it's time, okay? All right. So this is the Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health book. And I would love to do a Zoom call to explain how to use the book because it looks very technical and intimidating, but it's got a dictionary encyclopedia built into it. So if you run across a term that you don't know, it's in there. I went over it like with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that I defined every single, scientific term in the book. But if you look at the scientific research, which is a huge compilation in the book as well. Anytime you see a text citation, you can look at the scientific research and you can get lost in the scientific studies that have been done. But luckily, the peer-reviewed studies will summarize thousands of studies for us for each individual botanical. And that saved me years of work, okay? But it's summarized quite nicely that will show what every phytochemical compound in the botanicals that are in the drops and further explain how they work in the body and what the scientists over time have found on what these botanicals do. Okay, so this is why I wrote this book. I wrote it mostly for you, for APLGO, because I wanted the associates to really understand what they have in these drops. They seem to work like magic, right? People take them and they're astounded at what such a small candy can do for their body. But this book will explain scientifically what it does at the cell level for your body. And you'll be able to explain that or read it out loud to other people. And believe me, it will silence the worst critic and the worst person who's so close-minded about things like this. Once you present the truth, it seems to resonate in people. There's something about truth that does that and makes them sit up and listen, especially if they have health concerns. You know, they really are quietly, desperately seeking help and they don't know where to turn. So this is why I wrote this book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health.
Mary,
Okay, so
I am going to set up a time that we can do a Zoom where you explain how to use the book. I'm getting direct messages that that's a great idea. So we are going to do that.
Let's do it.
To add and close out with about ice, other than it's a fantastic product. I know I use it. I've given it to my dog. I have a dog that has gets an upset tummy every now and again. I've given it to her, as well as many of our other lozenges. But what is one thing that maybe we haven't talked about that you want everybody to know about ice?
Oh, yeah. You've got to take care of your digestive tract. That is the most important thing for staying healthy, because without it, you won't get the right nutrients in your body. And look at all the different body systems. You know, you've got so many different critical body systems, but if you're not putting in the right nutrients in the right form that your body will recognize, then you're not going to be healthy. It's all about absorbing the nutrients, you know, and the ice, you don't have to go through the digestive tract. It goes right through the bloodstream and it circulates throughout the entire body. And your DNA, the genetic instructions in there, recognizes these molecules and activates hormones, the nervous system, the hormonal system. They all work together to direct where these nutrients are needed. Your body has a hierarchy of needs, and you know, it's got the priority systems for all of the critical, you know, life preserving organs, the heart, the kidneys, the liver, you know, organs that you cannot live without. And also we'll get around to addressing the lesser critical ones, like the muscles and the joints, the connective tissues, things like that. So digest your foods properly, eat properly, drink the water, get rest too, because your body can't fix itself when you're not getting enough regular sleep. Okay, so just do all of the above and everything will fall into place for you.
Okay, but except now I have another question
Absolutely.
before we close out. If somebody has no digestive issues, if they were to take ice and MLS before they eat, could that help preempt digestive problems?
Possibly, but I would take them after, because that's
Okay.
when the digestion is taking place, and it acts like a very great digestive aid.
Fantastic. That's all I needed to know. I thought that was a great question because I have people ask me that all the time. And I'm like, you know, I don't know. I'm going to ask that. And it just popped into my head. Well, Mary Esther, again, I cannot thank you enough for being here, for giving us your time and your energy. You know, we all love you. We enjoy, and we could stay on these calls for hours, as you know. You'll be back next month. We'll make sure that we get that out to everybody. Go to her website, folks. Take a look, download all of the documents there from all of the calls. They'll also be in the hub. And I know that all of the leaders will make sure they get it out to their teams as well. Mary Esther is available for private consults. And the reason I say that is she has helped many of the people that I have sent to her that have debilitating issues going on, that are at the end of their rope from a health perspective, and she has turned things around. She turned things around for me this time last year. I all of a sudden had some thyroid issues come on. I was falling asleep during the day. I mean, she turned me right around, and I cannot thank her enough for that. There isn't, in my opinion, there's not enough money in the world that can pay her back for the information that she gave me to help me get over those issues. And so, Mary Esther, you know how much I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. Everybody, give her a big round of applause. And Mary Esther, will see you next month.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And I love all of you all so much. I can't tell you how much I care. And it's wonderful to see you here. So, Ruth, I never get enough of you. Every time I've seen you in person, I just never get a chance to spend enough time with you. So, yeah.
Well, I'll just have to make a trip, or you'll have to make a trip up to Alaska, and we'll go fishing. How's that?
I would love that. You wouldn't be able to get rid of me, okay? But anyhow, love everyone.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Everybody
you.
has a wonderful, wonderful night. Goodbye, Mary Esther. Love you.
Bye-bye.